Good day, everyone. Mary, thanks for being the first one on this love line. This Gita expressed to the infinite bliss on manifest. Indeed. Thanks for warming up our soul's devotion. Our soul's devotion. You know, your soul, my soul, everyone's soul is so devoted. And as Krishna says, unto pure devotion, devote yourself. Isn't that beautiful? You know, there seems like there's a lot going on in the planet, right? There seems like there's a lot going on in each of our own minds as well. But there's something that's awfully sweet, at least in my opinion, that is really, really sweet, is that the Divine One is so humble. It's so humble. It is so, pure. It is so, you know, considerate. You could name a lot of qualities that people that have their act together have beautiful qualities of understanding, peace, happiness. But what I'm trying to say is this morning we're going to talk about the three classes of food, the three classes of food of all things. We're on verse 7 today on page 994, chapter 17, verse 7. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of things since we started this Gita study, my dears, and this one gets into the three gunas big time. That's what we've been talking about, the three gunas and the three classes of food. We're going to look at that aspect today. But the most important thing that comes to my mind when I think of this subject this morning, well, a couple things, but one is just this word nourishment. Nourishment. You know, what you could ask yourself, what are the best ways, the best ways that you feel nourished, right? Now, there's some different, we have not just one aspect of our being, the physical, but we have the mental. So you have physical nourishment, you have mental nourishment, you have emotional nourishment, and then you have soul nourishment. And those are all have different categories of food, right? Sustenance. What sparks you? Everybody has a different diet. Everyone, as Sri Yukteswar said, that the diet that works for you. You don't have to worry about what someone else is doing or try to mirror them. Or you find out what makes you feel the best. Yeah. And all those levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So you could say that that could be someone's diet, right? How to take care of oneself. Is it really just the physical food that gives us nourishment? Or is there something that you've heard of many times and it's called consciousness? Does consciousness play into here somewhat, my dears? Could the more that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God, which is the medulla oblongata, at the base of the spine, at the base of the skull, I mean, that there is a nourishment that coming in as the prana, as the life force of God. So anyway, this is a morning where you can, kind of get your own take and maybe a little reset on nourishment for yourself. What really makes you feel the best. And it can be something as simple as, you know, giving lending us a helping hand to someone today. Or, even your spouse or your husband and the wife or animals or a friend, that it's just something that once you decide you're going to do, that it always makes you feel good. It always nourishes you, and that's always nourishing you. So there's so many tactics that we can take on this, but we'll give you Yogananda's commentary on this. I remember, his poem "God, God, God," where the very first line of that poem is, in the depths of silence, as I ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness, I whisper, God, God, God. From the depths of silence, as I ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness, I whisper, God, God, God. And his second line in that poem, God, 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 is this: Thou art the food, and as I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I taste thee and mentally say, God, God, God. So the very second line in this poem, God, 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 thou art the food. And as I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I whisper, I taste thee, I taste thee, thou art the food. And as I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I taste thee and mentally say, God, God, God. So there's a little practice just built in to his poem, God, God, God. I taste thee and mentally say, God, God, God. So, you can break it down any way you wish, my dears, but because we are all so absolutely unique and one of a kind, the way that you look at something, as you know, and the way I look at something and someone else looks at something is different. It's a variety in God's infinite consciousness in this amazing galactic show of his and divine mothers, right? That is giving us these three gunas, the three gunas. So this three classes of food is just mirroring what we've been discussing in the past chapters on the sattva guna, the spiritual guna, the one that gives you the highest, I think, bang for your buck, or in other words, the most nourishment from thought, from your feeling, from your mind, from your heart, from your soul, that you can get all the nourishment that you need for all the areas of your physical existence, mental existence, spiritual existence, and your divine existence. That you can get all that you need, my dears, because it's between you and the giver, the you and the source of you, you and that divine, omnipresent, ever existing, always with you, divine consciousness. So there it is. Here we are, ready to just make sure that we have a nice little reset this morning as we listen to Yogananda's commentary about the three classes of food. We know what the spiritual guna is that, as I mentioned, is the sattvic, and then we have the rajas. So there's rajas activity, mental activity, thoughts that are about me, kind of self-centered thoughts, that rajas energy that is more outward bound, has a lot to do about the ego getting the cut of the prize, right? Always got to have something get in return, right? There's no just sattvic selflessness where it just makes you feel so nourished. Your thought, your feeling, your action, your choice, so nourished that nothing else in the universe matters. Whereas if we dip down into the rajas, there's always some karma involved. There's always a trace after the action, a trace after the thought that will leave us, feeling a certain way. You know what I'm saying. So there's the rajas guna, and then there's the tamas, the dark. So just like those three, the spiritual, the active, You can be a good person, and you can, have a relationship with the divine for sure in that middle stage of the rajas. But there's different levels. So you have the rajas, and that would probably be a good conversation around the foods, rajas foods. Yeah, we're not going to go on the rajas foods. We're going to keep this pure and simple, right? Pure and simple. And then we have the dark energies, which you'll hear what Yogananda says in this category of the tamas, or the dark energy, in terms of a type of food, a type of food, all right? But first, let's just maybe close our eyes for a moment and just receive some life giving, soul giving, heart awakening breaths so we can feel the nourishment of life force, prana, chi, cosmic energy. And then sigh it out as you exhale out, my dears. And if you can just be aware, you kind of know what the subject is this morning. It's around food and the energies that the different types of foods have in the categories of spiritual food, mental food, restless food, and just when you're just kind of in that numbing state of the tamas, the darker type of energies that is so called food. And we have food for thought, don't we? So just breathe a few more breaths, and then we'll get into Yogananda's commentary. And just feel where your nourishment right now is coming from. What is your body saying to you? What is your mind saying to you? And what is your heart saying to you? Would you say you are in a sattvic mood right now? Spiritual? So your taste buds, if there's a spiritual intention, if there is a more soulful intention, what does that feel like? If there's a restless desire, if the mind is astray, does that nourish your mental capacity? Or does a calming, beautiful, still body of water that you could visualize sitting right on the banks of, as Yogananda had a little song once, sitting in the silence on the sunny banks of my mind, sitting in the silence with the master by my side. When my thoughts have gone to rest, that's the time I feel him best. Oh, 'tis lovely sitting in the silence with the masters by my side. Sitting in the silence. Maybe that's a nourishing sattvic food for your soul right now. Just sitting in the silence and the nourishment that that silence brings you. You can almost feel the different so-called systems that are alive in you as a human being: the mental, emotional, physical, deeply spiritual. All of those are parts of you, my dear. All right. So the verse says this, verse 7, page 994. Each of the three classes of men and women, each of the three classes, all right, Sattvic, Rajas, Tamas, of men and women, like, they like one of the three kinds of food. There's three kinds of food. So also their yajnas, penances, and almsgiving. Hear, or O Arjuna, about these distinctions. Hear about them, Arjuna. These distinctions of the three classes of the kinds of food. Then you'll understand about the yajna, which is the offertory foods. You know, what kind of offering, or what do we say a prayer anymore before we eat? That's a pretty nice thing. Remember, as I come out of my sleep and I take my first bite of food for the day, how much can we, feel that energy, that first that first type bite, that first taste, that first drink that we take after a night's sleep. And have we made our offerings, our penances, and almsgiving? So hear about these distinctions. So Yogananda says everything done by a man and woman is proclaiming her state of spiritual evolution. So everything we do is it really comes back to me, but it's the one that St. Catherine of Genoa so beautifully said, my me is God, nor do I recognize any other me but God himself. That kind of me. Everything done by man and woman is proclaiming her state of spiritual evolution. The diet to which she and he is naturally attracted, that's all part of it. And his and her inborn attitude toward her various duties in life. So you have your diet, you have your duties in life. Show whether you are, I am, predominantly marked by sattva or rajas or tamas. All right. That's verse 7. And Yogananda doesn't even make a commentary on that except for what I just read to you. But we look at the next page, 995, and verses 8 to 10 go on a little deeper. So verse 8 says, foods that promote longevity. Anyone into longevity? Vitality. See, this is the nourishment part. What nourishes you the most, my dears? It's not. You don't have to consult an expert. Of course, we're we're consulting with an expert right here, Paramahansa Yogananda. But you know what I'm saying? You don't have to race to an expert to get the answers. You have them already within you. Foods that promote longevity, you can get a sense of what those are for you. How about vitality? Foods that give vitality. How's that? Right? How about endurance? How about foods that promote endurance? It's a pretty good lineup right here with these sattvic foods. These are sattvic. These are spiritual foods that promote longevity, vitality, endurance, health, cheerfulness. Cheerfulness. Hey, you know, just be yourself, my dears. Just be yourself. You're the last one to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. So let's let go of that old tradition, right? Tradition, and get into the now of your life as it is in this breath, in this moment, as we sit here, as we're talking about the three classes of food today in the Bhagavad Gita, page 995, volume 2. God talks to Arjuna and you and me, right? We're looking at the sattvic foods, longevity, vitality. And these are your calls, my dears. These are your calls. Endurance, health. And what may be all these things for you may be the opposite for someone else. As Sri Yukteswar said, you can't go by anyone else's diet. Everyone's going to decide what is the, like we're saying, what brings you the best nourishment, right? Totally different for each person. Totally different. Here's another sattvic part of that. There's longevity, vitality, endurance, health, cheerfulness. Cheerfulness. What brings you the most cheerfulness? Cheerfulness. Isn't that a good word? Cheerfulness. And good appetite. Solid appetite, like you've been, chopping wood all morning, right? Or you've been out, you know, digging in the garden and you've done some real, physical kind of work and you have an amazing appetite. I know I'm in the water a lot. I swim a lot, and every time, or I used to be in the ocean a lot, and nothing that makes you hungrier than that for me. Being in the water or getting a good swim in, have a good appetite. You know, that's another way to look at your nourishment capabilities. Is what gives you a good appetite. That's a good one to remember. So more sattvic ideas here for us, my dears. So it gives you a good appetite, and they're savory, mild, substantial. So you're getting all your vitamins, substantial, and agreeable to the body. Again, what is agreeable to your body may not be for someone else's, right? This is such a beautiful reminder of us. We're talking about food, right? We're talking about food, something we do every day. But the strategy around that is something that it's nice to be recalling or remembering or resetting ourselves as we listen to this morning, right? That the food, soul, what about soul food, my dears? What about soul food? What gives all these beautiful, longevity, vitality, endurance, health, cheerfulness, and good appetite, and savory, mild, substantial, and agreeable to the body, all make it a pure-minded, making you a pure-minded person. But isn't that your call? Isn't that your call? And if you're aware of being cheerful or not, being aware of having an appetite or not, being aware of something substantial and agreeable to your body, my dears, you know, that's quite a quest. That's quite a quest to even kind of get a hint if you're in this sattvic category, right? Or super healthy. But, okay, so add to this one other thing. You're practicing the presence of God. What does that bring you, my dears? I bet you that each one of you, when you remember some little mantra, or you feel the loving presence with you, or you determine to walk not in your desires, but in the divine's presence and this divine energy and this divine reality, and you just let go, and you are, really hooked in to the divine essence, the divine presence, right? What will that give you? What does that give you in terms of just the spiritual food, right? The ones that say that man does not live, woman does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God. So pure prana. You could be a pranatarian, my dears. You could be a lovetarian. You can be a peaceatarian. You can be a cheerful atarian, right? There's so many qualities to look at here. It's not just about this thing called food that you can taste and touch and so on. It's about everything. But I'm wondering, I just want to say it once more. How do these sadhus that go without water, that go without food and this and that, where are they getting their nourishment, my dears? You let's all discover that this week, right? Let's really see what brings us the most cheerfulness, the most nourishment on all these levels, right? And remember that little prayer thing that Yoganand, he's gonna say it in here. Actually, I think it's gonna be in the reading if I ever get to the reading. All right. So let's just look at the. So that was verse 8, the foods that promote for the sattva. We just read them. And the pure-minded persons, pure-minded, right? The pure heart. It's not just pure-minded, it's pure heartedness. Tell me, would that bring you the vitality, the longevity, the health, the cheerfulness, right? If we were on a pure heart diet, on a pure heart, pure motive diet, right? And then we go to Rajas, verse 9, foods that are bitter. Here's the taste buds for the Rajas: foods that are bitter, sour, saltish. Well, I'm pretty Rajasic around that. I have salted nuts and stuff like that. Then I take a little more salt than probably most people do in their food. But again, Sri Yukteswar keeps saying that may be fine for somebody, or someone that takes too much salt that is not good for their diet. So you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it, man. It's between everything's between you and the divine. You know that? Everything. You're divine through and through, and your system is made divinely. It's made to live for forever. It's not going to break. Oh, the physical body may not stay in existence. It could. Babaji is still in his body, but I'm just saying this is a total God thing, my dears. And food becomes a big deal, right? When we think that that's where we get our nourishment from. So foods that are bitter, sour, saltish, excessively hot, pungent, harsh, and burning are preferred by Rajasic men and produce pain, sorrow, and disease. So Yogananda is going to go on a little tear coming up here. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but he's going to talk about those that just get totally as a fetish, you know. Their diet has to be, oh God, if I don't do his healthy thing here, I'm gonna fall apart. And they're just, you know, just fanatical about their diet. So he's going to give us some good advice around that. So those are the Rajasic foods, my dears, the ones that produce pain, sorrow, and disease. Bitter, saltish, excessively hot, pungent, and so on foods. Raja. You know, people that are going to get ahead in life by taking your head off. Rajas, go get him. You know, I want to make some more money or whatever. That Rajas activity, that restless activity, that worldly mindset. And then finally, this first 10 is the tamas, foods that are nutritionally worthless. Don't get me going on these. I like my chips. Not so much anymore. No, I get good reminders from Trisha about, you know, you don't need those chips anymore. Anyway, nutritionally, foods that are nutritionally worthless, insipid, putrid, stale, refuge, and impure are enjoyed by tamasic persons. Isn't it interesting that states of mind, states of the heart, everything that going on in this complex system of us in a body, but not really a body, in a material world, but it's not really a material world, and so on. There's so many levels of everything. This is why I do believe that you saying I love you to the divine at any given moment could be the best diet in this universe. And you can throw the dog a bone then. I love that, you know, the diet that the purists have around the yoga, Ayurveda, and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. You know, you got everything worked out. Everything is just right for your body type and da 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 da. But the best case scenario, I think, is that if your mind is on the divine, you got the best diet in the universe. When you are feeling cheerful, you have the best diet in the universe. When you come back and just accept, embrace, and love what is, those kinds of things, my dears. What did the guy that smoked cigars? He lived to 100 and something. One of those comedians in the old days, and they asked him, how could you live so long? He lived to 100 and something. He said, because all I ate were foods, were preservatives. It preserved me. You know, one of those guys. I forget, but the cigar guy. I forget his name right now. Anyway, you can live a long time, my dears, with the worst diet in the world, because it's not just about this lifetime and what's going on with you. It's about previous lifetimes. It's about karma that we're bringing in. It's about all kinds of things. You might have had many lifetimes where you were just a dietitian, and you just everything you ate, everything you did was perfect, and so you die and you come back and you have a system that can uh, handle of you know, eating some not so good foods. No, the Ayurvedic people say if you don't go over 15%. So let's say you have your chips, let's say you have your whatever, the things that you like, right? But it doesn't, it's just don't go over 15% of that particular thing. They all have their different levels of how much you can take of the bad stuff. So it's not just all exclusive, you know, oh my God, if I do this, that, eat this or that, that then, you know, you get in. No, Remember, you are mostly a spirit, my dears. In fact, it's not just mostly. You are a spirit. Food has nothing to do with it. And when we talk food, let's talk about love. The greatest nourishment is love, forgiveness, compassion. Wow. Walking in peace. That brings cheerfulness to those monks, don't it? Right? Yeah. They give little prayers and stuff about, oh, it's just brutally cold and it's just biting my skin, but happiness to all, prosperity to all, blessings to all, peace to all, and a big smile on their faces, right? So, Yogananda, let me just give you a little commentary what Yogananda says. We're on page 995. Thank you for showing up this morning, Narayan and Mary and Lisa and Jim. Thank you for the company. We really appreciate it. This is what Yogananda says is the commentary to those last three verses, the foods that promote longevity, the sattva, the foods that are bitter, sour, the rajas, and the foods that are nutritionally worthless, the tamas. He said, what we eat, Yogananda says in his commentary, what we eat is important because it has both physical and mental consequences. It has both physical and mental consequences. The body cells, get a load of this, the body cells are built from food. And blessing food and his prayer for food. Bless this food, make it holy, let no impurity of greed defile it. The food comes from thee, it is to build thy temple. Spirit to spirit goes. I am the petal of thy manifestation, but thou art the whole flower, all life, beauty, and loveliness. Permeate my soul with the fragrance of thy presence, is longer version of his prayer for food. So it's important what we eat because it has both a physical and a mental consequence. The body cells are built from food. The mind is also affected by the guna quality inherent in all substances. So whether we know what's in a food, you got to look at the ingredients sometimes and all that. You can get going on that angle and find out what are the inherent qualities and you be able to choose the guna that you think this food has because it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. The gunas are intertwined like crazy. It's the three gunas. This is what operates this universe, the sattvic, the rajas, and the tamas. So modern scientists analyze the value of foodstuffs according to their physical properties and how they react on the body. But yogis, we're all yogis here, and yoginis who anciently delve into the spiritual science of food, the spiritual science of food, consider its vibratory nature. What's its vibe? What's its vibration? They consider its vibratory nature in determining what is beneficial, stimulating, or harmful when ingested. Such classification by the yogi starts with the blank verity or truth that all things have evolved from God. This is where they start and continue and end. They have one idea in mind. This is all coming from God. It's all been evolved from God and are materializations of his one intelligent, vibratory, creative consciousness. Can you eat consciousness? Consciousness? Can you eat can you eat intuition? You could take this any way you want to take this, my dears. Because there's one vibratory, intelligent, vibratory, creative consciousness. Manifested objects come into being and are subject to metamorphosis under the influence of the interacting sattva, rajas, and tamas qualities. So materializations, food stuff, the gardens, the farms, the apples on the trees, they're all manifested objects and they come into being subject to the metamorphosis under the influence of either sattva, rajas, and tamas qualities of nature and the same thing that you are bringing to the table. These three gunas distort the pure cosmic vibration. So these three gunas are really the nemesis, so to speak, of physical life, my dears. And then, of course, if you can't separate your physical life from your mental life and your spiritual life, right? These three gunas distort the pure cosmic vibration. What about the rest of your forever in eternity? When you die, they're not eating up in heaven, right? They're not going to be the soup kitchen up there, and and Starbucks. I don't think, you know. Of course, anything is possible. You can create anything if you want. You can create your soup kitchen if you want on the other side, but you're not going to want to because it has nothing really to do with what you're eating over there. You're not going to need to eat over there. So on and so forth. The three gunas distort the pure cosmic vibration into an infinite variety. 31 flavors, my dears. Infinite variety, characterized by varying degrees, characterized. An infinite variety, characterized by varying degrees of elevating, sattvic, activating, rajas, and stultifying properties, tamas. So, who we are, how we choose, what we are up to, our particular craziness, each individual, right, has so much to do with this, right? You can't lump everybody into one category. It's not a herd of cattle. We're not a herd of cattle. There's so many varieties, there's so many complexities that just keep it simple, keep it pure, keep it holy. God, God, God. From the depths of slumber as I ascend, I live on the sunshine, says Narayan. Beautiful Narayan ji. I know, exactly. And for Narayan, that's that's a real, totally 100% real. What Mary, I'm sure, is similar. She lives on sunshine too. And there's some that don't go out in the sun because their skin can't take it. But anyway, you know what we're talking about. About vibrations of different frequencies alter one another when they interact. So a high sattvic diet can interact with some rajas, some hot peppers, or it can be some chips. They all interact with one another. They're vibrations of different frequencies, all those foods, right? The aim of the yogi, my dears, is to purify herself or himself of the dross. We might just be working on just don't get near the grody. Kids call it the grody, or the dross. By nurturing, the aim of the yogi is to purify ourselves of the dross, of the stultifying, of the things that just don't bring nourishment at all or cheerfulness at all, but you're feeling just kind of not so good. All that variety, all mixed together like in a mixer, right? The aim of the yogi and yogini is to purify herself of the dross by nurturing her or his sattvic qualities. Nurture the highest and best, my dears. Nurture the highest and best because you'll have the best diet in the world, in the universe. You'll have radiant health. I am Om, radiant health. I am Om, radiant health, and I am Shakti, Shakti, cosmic energy. Shakti, Shakti, cosmic energy. I am Om, radiant health, and I am Om, radiant health, and I am Shakti, Shakti. So you can have a ball. I hope you're having a ball with life. my dears. I hope you're having fun with everything. All right. That's another thing. Have fun, smile. Don't take it personally and don't take it seriously. Anything. So our job as a yogi and yogini is to purify the dross, the grodi, by nurturing our sattvic qualities through interaction with those external and internal manifestations that are pure and spiritually uplifting. Hallelujah, brother. Hallelujah, sister. Those manifestations that are pure and spiritually uplifting. Whoa. And we're put on in this age of technology and cell phones and TVs and who knows what other technological things that can take us on a spin out or to tap in. So it works both ways. She, the yogini or yogi, recognizes that even the food she eats and also the manner in which she partakes of it, your eating ritual, how you sit at the table or stand or whatever, what kind of environment you create when you eat, right? And also in the manner in which you partake of it. You recognize even the foods that you eat and also the manner that you partake of it has its salutary or debasing effect not only on your body, but also on your consciousness, according to the vibratory quality of those edibles. All right. Okay, this is just what, and one more paragraph of Yogananda, and then we'll start next week. Proper diet, we're going to end with this paragraph, my dear. Proper diet is a vast subject unto itself, Yogananda goes on to say, one that captivates many, many health faddists, really captivates many of the health faddists, often to his and her detriment, because you've become a fanatic. The Gita in these simple verses offers a concise and easy guideline for determining the spiritual or unspiritual quality of foods. Whatever food is beneficial or detrimental on the vibratory level is correspondingly so in its nutritional effect on health. So, very simply, these verses that we're talking about offer a concise and easy guideline for determining the spiritual or unspiritual quality of foods. Whatever food is beneficial or detrimental on the vibratory level is correspondingly so in its nutritional effect on health. Can you imagine if you had the divine intuition and you could just, instead of reading the labels that are on foods and everything, that you just have a knack, you have an intuition of what's beneficial and detrimental on a vibratory level. You feel the vibration of the food. Can you imagine your ability to always be, you can even hold it in your hand, do your magic on it, Narayan, whatever. A lot of you are very, very keen on that. You have a deep understanding. Please give yourself the benefit of the doubt on that. Please give yourself, all the kudos in the universe that you have all the answers inside for yourself through your own intuition, right? That, can you imagine just holding something? Some people do that. Yeah, like the kinesiologists, that they'll just hold the bottle of whatever it is, that juice that they're buying or whatever, or the vitamins that they feel it, and that they get the vibratory feeling, and then they know, is this going to be good for me or not? And of course they can test anyway. So this is my stream this morning, my dear. So let's get ready to go to the meditation. I don't have a clue what I'm going to talk about, but we'll see when we get there. Thank you. Thank you, Mary, Alex, Narayan. I hope you got some some bennies from this, some benefits from this, some ahas from this, some awareness from this. I'm sure you do because that's what you are. You're aware, you're awake, you're ready, and you're totally cosmic. Aho, namaste. Love you all. Thanks for jumping on once again. Appreciate you.